This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSPORT Fan Network. TalkSPORT. Powered by fans.
Styles with a save. To the second here. A classic counter-attack, and Gibbs White puts Nottingham Forest 2 ahead. Here's one. 1-0 Forest. To the goal. Has made an even bigger difference there. Nottingham Forest have snatched the lead at Anfield.
Hello, welcome back to Red Side of Trent here on a Sunday morning, live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you are, and maybe down the line if you actually listen to this at a different part of the time of day. Delighted to be joined by Reese Lane and Lee Clark as we discuss Forest's 0-0 draw with league leaders Arsenal, which makes the gap back to 5 points after West Ham's dramatic late winner at Tottenham, which did reduce it to 4 initially. But let's get into it. Reese, how are you first of all? Are you well?
Yep, good. Yourself?
Yeah, good, thank you. Obviously, a valiant display. Just some thoughts as you left the ground yesterday?
Yeah, really proud of the performance. Exactly what I'd expect from a Sean Dyche side when we're in a relegation battle. Defensively organised, hard to beat, a willingness to get to the ball first in 50-50s, etc., as we saw towards the end by the Anderson and Williams tackle on Jesus. So, yeah, well-deserved point. Yeah, very, very pleased with the performance and the point, especially after, like you say, Adam, with West Ham dramatically winning last minute yesterday for a player who we'd all thought had left West Ham as well.
I know, yeah, I thought, yeah, I don't know. Lee, how are you? I know you got shafted yesterday, so you didn't actually get to go to the game, unfortunately.
No, my game was called off. If anyone wants any football games refereeing, I'm available. I'm sick of having games called off. But yeah, I enjoyed, just as Reese has just said there, that's what I've said on the pod before that we've not seen from this Nottingham Forest under Sean Dyche. We need more points that are Sean Dyche points, and that's what we got yesterday. We got a performance that epitomised him as a manager, I guess. And yeah, we can't not be satisfied with that point. I think they're very boring to watch, aren't they, Arsenal? I think we said on the last podcast, I think it was either Reece or Christian said, they are a tough watch. And I don't know, I don't mean to sound awful, but if they win the Prem this year, it's kind of just a sign that the other movers and shakers are just not really with it, I guess, because they're not very good, are they? They're not that good, are they? I mean, they're not a champion. They just don't move the ball around like champions, do they? Just, I don't know.
I think if Arsenal win the league, I don't think their fans would give a flying toss.
Of course they wouldn't. Of course they wouldn't. Of course they wouldn't. And who can fault them? They've not won it for so long. I mean, they're just not that good. I think they showed that yesterday. But you know what? They'll take the point as well. That you win your own games, you draw away, you're going to win the league, aren't you? So yeah, they'll take it, much as we will, I suppose.
Yeah, Simon Jones says you Reds definitely felt like a win, and Marcus says morning chaps, good point, but now to work on consistency versus mid-table sides. Leeds and Palace games are massive, along with Brentford and Wolves in that next run of games. Reece, start with yourself. With the team, only one change from that West Ham win, which was Ibrahim Sangare coming back with welcome arms from the African Cup of Nations. He replaced Amari Hutchinson, which made Nicholas Dominguez play wide. Was you expecting that team? What did you think? I know obviously there's been murmurs of what's happening in and around the training ground with lots of reporters and journalists throwing out all sorts of rumours. So you just never know what's happening at Forest, do you?
No, but that's a different discussion. Yeah, exactly the team I expected personally. I thought Dominguez would come. He's coming in for a winger, but he's not playing on the wing, is he? He's kind of just playing on that left side where it's just obviously against the big six sides, let's say, just to be a pest and to impress them and just cut out, passing lanes and just be a general nuisance to make it difficult for them to get going. And that's exactly what I did yesterday, because they never could get really going, could the Arsenal? So, yeah, it was the team I expected. Great to see Sangare back, because he left us after his best performance for the club, and I thought he was good again yesterday. So started where we left off again, which is brilliant. We also saw Elliot Anderson come on again because he's playing back with Sangari, gives him that bit more freedom. So yeah, I was happy with the side. I thought it was pretty much the best side we could pick, really.
Yeah, Lee, the start to the game was to be expected. I thought, Arsenal were going to dominate the ball. You knew they were going to try and move the ball around the box. But as you said at the very start, they didn't move it very quick for a side at the top of the league. And I felt like for once we seen that what you said about Dyche performances where we were organised and we were tough to break down. And I felt like we were fairly comfortable, really. And the only thing that really I thought I was worried about was when Murillo tried to take a ball out of the sky from a corner and Gyökeres has run through. But thankfully, you know what Murillo's like in the recovery because he's just so quick. But what did you make of that start to the game?
Yeah, it was. They didn't look. I mean, you've got to give credit to Forest. I don't think they looked that lethal from set pieces. I think they're quite pretty on the eye, aren't they? They do the little thing where they all go kind of to the back post, don't they? And then they all run in, kind of evading any sort of markers and that sort of stuff. But yeah, I thought we defended. I don't know. I just felt that the defensive unit, Sells and the four in front of him. And again, this might be a bit of a throwaway comment, but I think if that back five stays fit up for the rest of the season, I do think we'll stay up, and I think we'll stay up pretty comfortably. But I don't know. There was just something about certain players last night that kind of, I don't know, like Milenkovic seemed up for it, Sells seemed up for it. Yeah, they just didn't seem as. I think there was one chance in the first half. I think there was a Martinelli chance, wasn't it? But that was the one. But yeah, I just don't think they were. They just didn't. I expected them to proper bombard us with the set pieces, and then in the aftermath of the set pieces, they'd still come forward. But I just thought we defended really well. I thought it was the sort of performance that you want to see from a Sean Dyche team. And yeah, I don't know. Again, it probably just reiterates my point that I've said. These players aren't bad players all of a sudden. They're in a bit of a blip. We're having a bad season, of course we are. But yeah, I just think I thought we defended really well in those moments. So yeah, it was good. I just thought it was good to see. It was good to see us actually look like a proper defensive unit from them set piece situations. I thought.
Yeah, I mean,
what helped as well. Sorry, Adam, is that we've got that back five back. We've got that continuity back. We know what we're going to get from that back five. I know John Victor coming for a bit, and there was some fans saying, "Oh yeah, keep him in. He's nowhere near Sells at the top of his game." And to have Ola Aina back, I've said all season, is a huge miss because of what he brings on the pitch and off the pitch as well with his happy, good vibes, isn't it? Really, he's just good. Them type of characters are good for the dressing room, and Aina's one of the best fullbacks in the league when he's on it. So yeah, it was no surprise that with that back five back all firing as well, like there was aside from that Murillo mistake, which he brilliantly recovered, that we looked defensively like we did last season on last night's performance.
Yeah, I mean, you stole what I was literally going to ask you, Reece. Is it a coincidence that the last two games we've had the back five from last season, we've had two good results? Do you know what I mean? Like, it breeds confidence, doesn't it? And then now you've got Sangari next to Anderson back in midfield. It's just because that line that we need to sort.
Yeah, because Ola Aina is building his fitness up as well. He come in at Villa and he looked rusty, which is to be expected with the period of time he's had out. And now you see it, and now he's building up, and you're getting him back to. He even said it on the radio after the game. He's getting back to feeling it in his legs how he did before. So you're just building up. It's just like you said, Adam. Defensively last night was what we saw last season from a Nuno side when we were flying high. It's just that final third. Last season we had Elanga and Chris Wood, who would obviously get us out with Elanga and Wood, who'd stick the ball in the back of the net. Like the one where I thought Hudson-Odoi pulled out personally when Raya come flying out.
Yep,
that's Elanga. He takes that by him, and he either gets brought down or he's through on goal and we're 1-0 up. So what they contributed last season, Wood and Elanga, Wood got 20 goals in the Elanga. I think it was 16 goal contributions. Take that out of the side of any side in the world is, massive, massive miss. So it's just about getting it right now in the final third. Can we get, because we've got, I feel for Jesus because he's completely isolated. We've got to get more bodies around him. At times when we crossed it last night, there was, nobody in the box. There was one time when he headed it down and there was nobody even near him again. And And it's also just, getting another striker option, because we can't rely on Jesus for the rest of the season in terms of goal scoring. We need to get more bodies in and around another striker, really.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Arsenal were pretty susceptible to that ball at the top, and I completely agree with you. I thought Hudson-Odoi chickened out of it. I think if he fully gets there, he can flick it over his leg, and like you say, either gets brought down or he's through on goal. And then I thought even Jesus was unlucky with the one he kind of almost got to, and Raya got a bit lucky that because Igor lost his foot in. So there was definitely weaknesses in Arsenal's unbelievable, like unforbiddable kind of back four, back five, and I think we definitely exposed some elements. But like you say, I think we lack a killer up front at the moment. Igor is not a killer, unfortunately.
Well, as you're seeing, because we didn't even have a shot on target last night, and as good as the performance was, we didn't look like scoring, did we? I mean, they didn't really from open play, aside from what we'll come on to later with the Saka header. But yeah, it's just like you've got to think, obviously, going forward when we've got games against the likes of, like you said, Adam, Palace coming up, Wolves at home coming up, Leeds away coming up. They've obviously got a striker in their team where they're giving him service, getting Brendan Aronson up near him, and look, they've completely turned it around, and they've got one foot in the Premier League next season, Leeds, because they've put a run of form together.
Yeah, absolutely. Lee, let's talk about that save from. Well, let's talk about the first one from Declan Rice, because I actually think it's a more difficult save than people probably think, even though it's a good height. But the fact that Declan Rice hits the ball into the ground probably makes it that little bit more difficult because of judgment. But I think Sells he's definitely back on it now. He seems like he's more comfortable from where he was last season for me. Because I thought even in the first half, I forgot to mention, actually come out for a few balls, got a few hands on crossers, maybe should catch one at least. But the fact that he's punched it away and got rid of the danger, I think was really good, because we know what Arsenal are like, the best team in the world at set pieces.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I never used to come for a cross unless I was comfortable I could catch it. That's not the modern game, is it? Modern goalkeepers, they just want to get something on it. I think the first save, I think I'd be disappointed if a Premier League goalkeeper's not saving that. The second save, I don't actually think people realise how, unless you've ever stood with gloves on between posts, you don't appreciate how good a save that is. Because with Murillo being there and being a presence, that automatically makes that, I personally think, it makes it more difficult for Sells. He's jumping to a side, I think, and not really knowing if he's actually going to save it. And to actually save it and tip it around the post is just... a brilliant save. That's I don't know. I don't know if it was just because we were playing Arsenal or I don't know. Is he a man for the big occasion? I mean, we like you've just said, Adam, we got the Sells from last season. It was just such a good save. The second one is such a good save. And like I say, the first one he deserves credit for. But like I say, I would be more disappointed if he didn't save that one. Whereas the second one, if that header flies in the top corner, you're kind of thinking, not really a lot we can do about that. But yeah, to actually save it and tip it around the post, yeah, superb save. I mean, I've said before on the podcast, I don't really buy this notion that these players are all of a sudden not good enough. And thankfully last night, the defensive unit and Sells in particular showcased that, they are still good players. That we've got players capable of keeping us up. So yeah, it was such a good save. I mean, it's the sort of save that gets you in the team of the week. I mean, I don't think Troy Deeney will put him in the team of the week. He'll probably pick bloody, I don't know, some random goalkeeper. But yeah, that save has essentially earned us the point. So yeah, it was just such a brilliant moment for him.
Yeah, I thought it was a world-class save, personally. Just a few comments. So Pat Brett, very good performance. We have to just get the striker situation sorted. Big on, great point. Been a while since I enjoyed a 0-0 that much. And he also followed up with thought Doms was superb yesterday. James Rowan, morning chaps. I mean, hello James. We'll read your comment out later. We've got a question from sponsor, Mr. James Rowan. And Luke L. Morris. My highlight was Gabriel Jesus getting put into the A block, got celebrated like a goal. The roar was great. I mean, Reece, the atmosphere seemed to be back on it yesterday, but I just wanted to ask you about handball as well, because I think we've got different opinions in this on this pod from yourself and maybe Lee. What was your view on it on the time in the ground, and then obviously having seen it maybe back since on Match of the Day or whatever?
Well, first of all, I'll just touch on Lewis's point about the atmosphere, and he's spot on, because what do you know what fired that up? That tackle in the corner on Jesus, that got the crowd going. And it's always the same in English football. You want a flying in tackle, someone proper crunched into a 50-50 and it gets the crowd up. It's never been like continental football where it's just a drone the whole game. English fans react to the game, and that got the crowd up. We're thinking, look, there's probably 10 minutes to go at that stage. Right, we proper want to earn this point here, and we saw it out. So that's what gets the crowd up. I don't think it's a case of like it's made out to be that sometimes fans fancy it and sometimes they don't. It's just what you're seeing on the pitch gets the crowd up. That's just English football. But the handball, I mean, in the ground, because it is at my end, I thought there was a handball in the build-up from them. There's a few shots. I don't think no one really claimed for it. And then obviously it's come up on the VAR. Because as a fan, you don't know what's going on. I'm like in the group chats, asking people who are watching it on the telly, is there anything in that? For me, it's a foul on Heine, first of all. He's pushed him in the back and he's kicked him in the chest. So that should be the end of it. But, it's no, it's not a handball for me. Has he deliberately handballed that? Not in my opinion, no. Alan Shearer said the same on Match of the Day. Arsenal fans are going to claim for it, but if that's what the league leaders are claiming for against a side who was sat 17th in the league after not creating much, then it shows how poor they was, wasn't it? So yeah, not for me. I always feel it's a subjective decision, and in that moment, then we should leave the power to the referee. The referee didn't give it, so leave it as it is, in my opinion.
Yeah, Lee, thoughts?
Yeah, exactly what Reece has just said. I think if you look as well, it comes off his shoulder first. Obviously, how the handball law is written at the moment, if it comes off another body part, it can't really be constituted deliberate handball. He's clearly fouled. I mean, Jesus tries to kick the ball and kicks Heine in the chest. So I think what the VAR has looked at, what I would say is I think this is a really interesting discussion point, is we probably got a bit lucky that Michael Oliver was refereeing, because it's well known in the refereeing circles that referees don't really like sending Michael Oliver to basically turn around and say, you've made a mistake, go and look at the screen, because he's the top dog. He showed that with his performance last night. I thought Michael Oliver was absolutely superb last night, and that's not me blowing smoke up a referee's arse for the sake of doing it. I just genuinely think he's the best referee we've got by a country mile. He doesn't get flustered by anything. He always looks in control of the game. Whichever game he refs, he always looks in control of it. But yeah, we probably did get, I don't know, I just wonder, would Darren England have sent, say, Peter Banks to the screen to have a look at that? Possibly. But yeah, like Reece has just said, I don't think it's handball. I think there's too many factors. I think you've got to look at, because I've seen like, there's certain Sky pundits, isn't there, that only seem to chime up when it's a penalty that should be given against Forest. When it's a penalty for Forest that we've had been denied, or Ruben Diaz, who should have had a stonewall yellow card, they just stay quiet in the corner. But we've got certain ones on Sky, certain Sunderland fans on Sky, without naming him, I'll just throw the clues in there, who only seem to chime up when it's Forest that should be of detriment to it. So yeah, I think if you look at all the bigger picture and the fact that he's clearly kicked in the chest, he pushes him, then he kicks him, Darren England's probably looked at him for, do you know what? There's too many factors that make it not a pen. So, does he keep that ball in play because it's his arm? Possibly. But is it a deliberate handball? I don't think it is. It rolls off his shoulder, and then he it's just not a deliberate handball, is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's too much is being made of it. I think it's one of them, because it's Arsenal it's happened to. It's like, oh my God, Arsenal are the most bloody done to team. There'll be all sorts of bloody petition to get Michael Oliver never refereeing our games again from Arsenal, won't they? I mean, yeah, I just don't think it's a pen. I'm not just saying that because it's Forest. I think if I saw that in another game, I'd be like, it'd be very harsh. So yeah, I just think there's too many factors. Like I say, if you want to be really picky, Jesus clearly kicks Heine in the chest. So defensive free kick, jobs are good in. So
Yeah.
They should look at themselves when they
Yeah.
absolutely wanting a penalty to be the side who was sat in 17th when they bring in Bukayo Saka off the bench. They brought Eze off the bench. They brought Moreno off the bench. They brought Gabriel Jesus off the bench. You know, the bench was absolutely stacked. That's why they're top of the league, because they've got the best squad in the league. There was a point last night where I thought even Eze, who England international, scored the win in the FA Cup final, I didn't think he was going to get on. I mean, he'd walk into our side. You know what I mean? That's the levels you're playing against, and they're just whinging and whining about a debatable penalty. Well, maybe create some more chances yourself, seeing as you're top of the league.
I mean, I'm more impressed than Arteta said in his post-match that he saw it in real time between three bodies, and then seen it again, and he was like, "Yeah, it's a stone wall." I'm thinking, it's not though, is it? It's not a stone waller.
I've always said, even at my level, the best view in the house is in that dugout because they see everything. They see everything in that dugout. The dugout and the penalty area, because the goalkeepers always see everything. I usually do the same. But yeah, the dugouts, they see everything. They're always adamant. I mean,
unless you're Arsene Wenger and never seen anything.
Like you say, it's in the arsehole corner of the penalty area that's on the other side. He's got God knows how many bodies, and he thinks he's seen it in real time. I mean, come on. That's Arteta for you. That he always does like a deflection mechanism, doesn't he? To take like Reece says, you're top of the league, create more chances in the actual game. He's just used the referee as we're all done by. That's just Arteta all over.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that we're maybe all a little bit disappointed. Reece said it earlier. We didn't have a shot on target, and we're at home. And normally against Arsenal, we do create at least something. It does remind me of the game last season where we was in a bit of a sticky patch, and we just needed to get a bit of a result to get going again. And I remember against them at home, we didn't really do anything last season either. We created very, very little. So it just reminded me of that. But it does concern me that we're not making out to shout about in terms of chances at the moment. Well, I mean, it's one game because we scored twice against West Ham, scored 3 goals against Wrexham.
It's not though. It's been, and people take this the wrong way. It's not. It's been a theme for quite a while. Let's be honest. You know, the West Ham game, we've won. We've scored 2 goals, both from set pieces. One's a corner, one's a penalty. Did we create? Apart from, we had Nico Williams, who's had an effort from a brilliant strike, it was as well, but it's an effort from outside the box. Same with Hudson-Odoi. Have we really created a chance where we're thinking from point blank range, Ario's made a brilliant save there, or we've tested him? No, we're not doing it enough, and that is the issue going forward. Last night, we'll accept it because we're against the league leaders. You know, every point is vital in this league, but going forward, that needs to improve massively, and it's been a theme under Dyche, and that is why fans are voicing the frustration at Dyche. I'm
a bit unsure why when he first come in, we was like Morgan Gibbs-White was getting in the box, and obviously like against Spurs, Sangare crashing the box, did against Leeds, and that seems to have gone a little bit out of our game at the moment. Hopefully it will come back now. Sangare is back, and it allows like him and Anderson to be that pivot in midfield where one can go and one can sort of hold back a little bit. I don't know, but we'll find out in the next 4 games, because I think they're good games to really see what the litmus test is, I guess. But we're going to get into some slept on it thoughts, but beforehand we will talk about our sponsors. We have Trentside Threads first, trentsidethreads.co.uk. Use RSOT for 10% off. I do apologise, Ryan. I know I keep meant to be wearing this Ola Aina shirt. It's just freezing in my house, and I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not wearing just a t-shirt, so that would kill me. But yeah, lots of t-shirts on there, lots of hoodies and all that good stuff. Use our code RSOT for 10% off. And then Vesta Blinds. So James Rowan, VestaBlinds.com, info@VestaBlinds.com to get in touch with them. They offer stylish, high quality, made to measure blinds and shutters at a great price. Give your home the perfect finishing touch with stunning, expertly fitted window coverings from Vesta Blinds. So please do check them out. But for now, we're going to get into your slept on it thoughts.
Red side of the Trent. Slept on it thoughts.
Not quite a slept on it thought from Christian, but he says he called Victor Gyökeres. Gyök Lesnar's performance yesterday was the worst striker performance I've seen since Derby rocked up with Connor Salmon. So yeah, there's that. And then everyone else has slept on it. Thoughts are as follows. Plenty of you get in touch, so thank you very much. Christian actually did put more of a slept on it for. He put a point more than I expected. Top shift from everyone. They ran their sits off, dug in deep and played with heart. Still colossal issues with Dyche ball at the top end of the pitch, but there's no disputing that that's a brilliant result and one we thoroughly earned. On to Braga. Johnny Ancliffe slept on it thoughts. Proud of that display on the pitch and in the stands. Fans were back to our best. Deserved point. Worked so hard all night. Sangare is the glue to this team. We've missed him hugely. We need a striker so bad. Gareth, a well-earned point. We look so much stronger with a fully fit Aina and Sangare back. The striker situation needs addressing urgently. We need 2 strikers, not 1. I think DW, so Dyche, and Stone, no Taiwo is done, so he needs replacing 2. Mark Baker, I happily take the job, but let's be honest, we had no plan of attack again, and Dyche's lack of subs is going to turn around and bite us. It's okay getting up for the big 6, but we need to do it against the rest, especially with our next 4 Premier League games. Tom Newton, Sangare slots in where he left off, and Anderson gets man of the match. Funny that. Nico Dominguez was class once again. Looks more like a plan was in place today. Having said that, we were at the peak of our powers. We were defensively resolute, but we never looked like scoring. Rob, snaps your hand off for a point before the game. Just concerned we had 0 shots on target in 95 minutes at home. We have to start attacking teams and have a positive mentality. Simple. We don't score enough goals. We're not going to win games. Capanosity, huge point in the circumstances. Bar Jesus, we might as well have not had a transfer window. Is this another false dawn or an actual step forward? Sangare and Anderson, massive. The penalty area is still a twilight zone. Saka denied his usual goal. We have ourselves back. Rebels, City Red Dogs. Against the best sides, you need your better players to turn in an 8+ level performance. Ours did. Sells, Williams, Ando, Lenny, Murillo, Cho, all excellent. Domi was a 9. If was allowed, I'd have gone onto the field and helped him walk off the field myself. A worthy standing ovation. Premier Elliott, really wish we treat all games as serious as we do against the Sky 6, full of passion and drive. Today's fact is not long after he released his song All By Myself, the musician Eric Carmen was taken to court because, as it turned out, he did not write it all by himself. Sarah, Anderson and Dominguez, unreal. Sells back to his best, and Aina was our missing piece. We made them look ordinary. Can we build on this? Binnett, brilliant night. We're watching Forest fans in Dubai. Dominguez was man of match, but Sells back to his best. Thought we might nick it at the end. Just need some consistency now. And T. Morrison, love the fight and desire. Just want to see it more often against the smaller side teams we play, not just the big clubs. Either way, brilliant result. Come on, you Reds. Thank you very much for everyone that's got in touch. Thank you very much who's joined us this morning. 116 reviews so far and got involved in the comments. I'm going to start with yourself, Reese, for player performances, and it is that man who's just returned. It's Ibrahim Sangare.
Yeah, slotted straight back in, and that's what I wanted to see, really. Like I said earlier, he left after his best performance with the club, and it's like, it's obviously over his Forest career has been kind of fits and starts, hasn't it? So you're thinking, well, he's gone away to AFCON. You're just hoping he's not going to come back. And, it's like we've gone 2 steps back again. You know what I mean? But I thought he slotted straight back in, and I thought he was excellent last night. I just watched him at times. He just looked so much fitter and leaner than he was, in his first 2 seasons. He just looks... I've always thought Sangare was a great player. It's just been, like I say, fits and starts, but he just looks so much more composed as a footballer, and probably down to confidence, mate. Really, he's had a proper run of games probably for the first time at Forest. He obviously had that performance, like I've just said, against Spurs, and he's probably just giving him that confidence because, like Dyche said on the radio after the game, him and calls him Big Ibra, don't he? Him and Anderson have just got that connection in midfield. I see it with England with Rice and Anderson. They've just got that connection, and when your centre mids have got that connection, it's good because the game's massive in the middle of the park. It's a big part of the game. So brilliant to see him back. Hopefully, it can just continue. And I'm so pleased for him that every week you're seeing kind of more fans get on board with him and getting behind the guy because. Yeah, he is. I've always felt he's a great player. So it's great to see it more consistently.
Do you know, with like you're saying he's had in fits and starts, do you ever think like he's just finally adapted to the league now, and he's just got up to speed. Because sometimes, as football fans, we are quick to judge and we're quick to write players off, and sometimes they actually just need a season or two to get their heads on the game.
I don't. Yeah, it's tough because you hit it spot on, Adam. Like, we are quick to judge, but I don't think people kind of realise what having malaria kind of does for your body. You know, when you're a prime athlete and you get one of these like illnesses, it can just, if you obviously lose a lot of weight, etc. It takes time to build that up. Like a boxer, when the weight drained, for example, they just can't perform, even though they're prime athletes. You know what I mean? You saw it for those who watch boxing with Eubank Jr. in his last fight, just completely like drained physically. So, you know, he's got over that. He then unfortunately had that hamstring injury, which, you know, is an issue in itself. So, yeah, I just think he's just got over all the kind of things what were holding him back in terms of illness and injuries. And when he got booed off against Palace, his confidence must have been on the floor. You know, any player who gets booed off, you know, like Granit Xhaka had it with Arsenal that time, but he come back, didn't he? And then he left the club to Leverkusen, and he got a standing ovation when he left because he turned it round. So I'm kind of hoping Sangare carries on that redemption arc, really, because I've always felt that there was a good player there. And yeah, it's just about him consistently doing it every week, which at the minute he's doing that more often than not for me. And he has all season, in my opinion. I know people say about the West Ham, it was a silly tackle, but I said it on a pod a while ago. He'd probably slot into third place for me for top 3 players this season, because I think he's been good overall this whole season, personally.
Yeah. Lee, did you want to add anything, or are you happy?
I was just going to say, I just think that's the whole thing with defensive midfielders. I think fans are always hoping they're going to do more, but as a defensive midfielder, Sangare has been brilliant this season. He is starting to add other bits as well. I'm kind of with Christian with this. I think me and Christian have said it when we've had conversations at matches this season. There's only one reason now why people want to keep belittling Sangare, and it's because they want certain other midfielders to play. I'm at that point where if you can't see what he brings to this team, it is purely because you just want another midfielder to play in his place. So yeah, I echo everything that Reece said in terms of his performance. I thought it was really good. I don't think he'd slot into third for me. I think he'd be comfortably 1 or 2 for this season, because the season's been such a basket case that someone like him he's done what we expected him to do when he first signed. I think this season he's been a consistent 7 out of 10 every game he's played for me. So he'd probably be up there with, you know, if we're discussing player of the season right now, he'd be up there in the top 2 for me.
I think as well, there is another reason, is that he's just been written off by so many that unfortunately people get that far and it becomes kind of an agenda, and then they just can't hold their hands up and say, look, yeah, we're seeing green shoots from him. I might have got that wrong. And that's exactly what you want. Like, I've obviously, you know, the years we've been doing this podcast from the championship days, there's players. I think we all said Ryan Yates would never go on to be a Premier League footballer. He's proved us wrong.
Nico Williams.
Wood, Nico Williams. Chris Wood, for me, under Cooper, I just didn't see it, and then he ends up going and scoring 20 goals. That's what you want.
You even
thought, at the end of the day,
even yourself, Reece, said you just wasn't sure that Sangare was going to make the cut at one point because he just couldn't get going. And
you can only go on what your eyes see. You're calling it what it is, and you're here to give like an honest opinion. You know what I mean?
I think that's an interesting point as well, Reece. Like, on this podcast, we're not afraid to say that we got things wrong, and I think some people with Sangare, it's like they can't praise him without saying, yeah, but such and such could have done that as well. I don't understand it. I think people have got to hold their hands up now and say, look, do you know what? I got this wrong. This is the Sangare we signed. This is what he does. He's a defensive midfielder. Okay. Against Tottenham, he was a box-to-box midfielder, wasn't he? Let's face it. He looked like scoring every time he went, marauded forward. I mean, what's wrong with holding your hands up and saying, do you know what? He's actually a pretty good player. We've done it on this podcast, so why can't other fans do it? I don't understand I think it's because he plays in centre midfield, and I'm not going to mention him because that's unfair. But I think it's purely because we've got an academy lad sat on the bench who's not getting minutes because he's in his way. And I think people don't want to kind of say, do you know what? He's right for our team at the minute. I think there's a like you say, agenda's a strong word, but it is at the point where if you're not giving him praise for what he's actually doing on the pitch, there is a bit of an agenda, I think, at the minute because
he's allowing Anderson to flourish as well. That's the main thing for me because he's, we're targeting him out to £100 million, so you want him flourishing in our side because he's going to be his qualities what are going to keep you in the division. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Well, touching on Anderson, Lee, I'm going to give you Elliot Anderson. Got man of the match in the ground. I think Matt Sells got man of the match on TNT. I don't know who the voters gave it for on Twitter. To be fair, I think it was Sells as well for them 2 saves. But yeah, I thought Elliot Anderson looked back to his usual self yesterday. I just want him to marauder forward a little bit more when he can, like driving with the ball. I think that's when he's at his best, Elliot.
Yeah, he was. I think it was probably more due to the opposition that he didn't maraud forward a little bit more. I think it was a very disciplined performance from him. But yeah, he was back to his best. I think the rest, not putting him in the squad against Wrexham, obviously paid dividends because he looked like the £100 million player that we hope to kind of cash in on in the summer. Just like Reece has just said, I think having Sangori next to him instantly makes Elliot Anderson a better player because he's allowed more freedom to do what he does with the ball. Like I say, he could have probably done that a little bit more last night, but I'll cut him some slack for that because we were playing Arsenal. But yeah, I mean, again, just to reiterate the point, these players, just because they're in a bit of a bad vein of form, it doesn't mean they're bad players all of a sudden. These players are good players. I've no doubt that we will have a performance again before the season finishes where, a bit like the Tottenham game, where we do score goals and we look like a really good team again. Because, like I say, 9 or 10 of the 11 are still the 11 that we had last season. They've not instantly become bad players because we've got Sean Dyche as manager. Okay, he could be getting more out of them. Of course he could. But someone like Anderson, he's probably the sort of player that, because he's a young lad, he's played loads of football, our form probably impacts him mentally more than we actually give him credit for. And I think last night he was back to his best. He just looked like the rest had revitalised him. And yeah, I mean, like I say, he's not become a bad player, has he? I mean, you see some of the comments on social media as to, he's an £100 million player, is he? I'm like, come on, just, he's a young lad. He's allowed a bad run of form. But yeah, he's clearly very important for us as a team going forward this season.
Yeah. Reece, I'm going to give you someone that I think was largely underappreciated last night. It's Nico Dominguez. I mean, the guy will play anywhere and he'll give you 110%. And I just thought the job he had to do last night was really underappreciated again.
Yeah, he would have been. He was in the toss-up for me for man of the match between him and Sells because, like Lee said earlier, that save from Sells was world-class and it gained us a point. And with my England hat on, I mean, fair play to Saka for actually even getting ahead on that. Because
it was a class header.
Vastly difficult, especially for a guy who's, I'm not sure what height Saka is, 5 foot something, isn't he? Yeah, I mean, as soon as he headed it was looping. I thought, that's going to just creep in. But yeah, brilliant from Sells. Yeah, Dominguez, I thought he was... I thought it was excellent. He's in the team for these type of games, because what I kind of said earlier, he's just, to press and high energy, just make life difficult for Arsenal to get going. And I thought he did exactly that. Absolutely ran himself into the ground. The running, I'd love to know how many kilometres he got through last night. And I've said it before so many times this pod, I've never ever seen Dominguez complain. He plays out of position.
Got a new haircut.
For any fastest growing hair in the game, and he'll play anywhere. Never see him whinging for any manager. And yeah, you need them type of players in your squad for me. It just reminds me what kind of midfielder, I guess, Chris Cohen was kind of like in a championship, really. Just all that high energy, never stop running for the team. Yeah, he did his job superb last night. There was a lot of praise for him on social media, and rightly so. I thought he was really good. And that, in a relegation battle, that's what we're going to need. We're going to need players working hard. That's why we've got the point last night, because we've worked hard. So yeah, great, good to see Dominguez have another great game.
I mean, nothing makes me more happy when he starts sprinting after folk. But I just wish then, like, the whole team has got to go and do it with him, because then I think we'll get more joy, and that's something that I think we've got to work on. But yeah, no, really appreciate that. I was going to give you Matt Selsley, but I actually think someone else who I thought was quietly very good in both halves of the game was Callum Hudson-Odoi. I actually thought he was really good for us. I thought his ability to keep hold of the ball and then like pick out a pass. I mean, last night he picked out a few on the edge of the box where I thought we could have done a bit better ourselves if there was a bit of a shout or a bit of a more better communication. But I just thought he was good. He was excellent in front of Olerainer, I thought, in terms of helping him out as well.
Yeah, I still think Callum Hudson-Odoi is very underrated by our fan base. I think me and Reece have both said, as much as we love him, he should get more goals and assists. Of course he should. I mean, the fact we got him for £3 million suggests that he don't get enough goals and assists. But yeah, he was good last night. I thought it's interesting you picked him out, because I actually thought, watching, obviously I saw it on the telly, and he was the one focal point I thought going forward, that he was the player last night that you kind of thought would make something happen for us. Yeah, like you say, he keeps hold of it. He carries the ball so well. I think that's his big attribute for me. When he's not in the team, there's all our other wingers are kind of like fierce and just attack opposition, whereas Hudson-Odoi kind of takes the sting out of games. He carries the ball well. He keeps it well. He's always looking to make the right decision with it, whether it's a shot or whether it's a pass to a teammate. So yeah, I think I am of the opinion that out of all of our wingers, if he's fit, he's one that absolutely has to play, and that's in spite of him not getting enough goals and assists. So yeah, I thought he was good. He was in contention for our best player, I thought.
Yeah. Just a few comments. So Pat Brett says Sangare does the simple things, plugs the gaps, gets the ball, simple pass, perfect, big on. I'm a Sangare convert, explaining why this is a convo over a pint rather than a comment. Also, he's simply doing more better now than before, when he used to make me grumpy. Martin has said Sangare is so underrated. How fan base is so split on this exact agenda of Yates is Mr. Forrest. That doesn't make him a Prem starter. This is so the reason so many of our fans dislike Sangare, is they believe he's keeping Yates out of the team. And Martin also followed it up with Sangare and Yates together are immense. We just need Wood back, or a top 20 goal striker. That's what we're missing this year. The amount of goals scored last year from Elanga and Wood is insane, which you mentioned obviously earlier, Reece. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I think this next part of the month, where we've still got Braga and Ferencváros in the next couple of weeks. We've got obviously big games against Brentford and Leeds, I believe. So that it's a big part of the season, really, whether we get a striker in or not. I mean, what do you think, Reece? I mean, do you think we'll get someone in? What's going to happen? Because we don't really know, to be honest. But we've not been linked with someone for a couple of days.
Yeah, well, we spoke about this on the last pod, didn't we? I don't think Strand Larsen. I just don't think we'll pay that money.
What did you think? Sorry to interrupt. What did you think about Ndoye playing up top last night?
Yeah, I thought you come on. I actually half called it in the group, because I said to you guys, like, I actually bring Jesus off now and bring Hutchinson on and just play Gibbs White as a false nine. So, because I knew last 15, 20 minutes, Arsenal, we're just going to be kind of penned in, and Arsenal are just going to try and what they did, pass the ball side to side and try and break the lines. And we just needed that counter to get out. We didn't need it to be booted out, and then Jesus basically try and wrestle with Gabriel and Saliba, and then they get the ball back. So, to be fair to Dice, that was a sub I'd like, because I've been very critical of, his substitutions. So, yeah, it gave us a bit of an outlet, didn't it? And it just allowed us to get just to breathe a little bit. No, he's not going to be a striker for us now, because of the way we play. But at that stage of the game, I didn't mind it. In terms of the striker situation, yeah, I don't think we'll pay the money for strike. I mean, we hadn't even made an inquiry, have we? If reports are to believe. So, if Wolves have said, "Oh, we want 40 million," Forest like, "We're not going to pay that," they'll probably say, "Well, we'll do one then." You know what I mean? I think we'll be looking around the market, seeing who's available. Dobrik's injured. I think he's got to have an op now, so that's him off the table. There was rumours like Roma was going to be sending Evan Ferguson back, but now Dobrik's injured. I'm not sure if they're kind of keeping him. Trying to think who the other
Tammy Abraham wants to go Villa.
Yeah, he wants to go to Villa. That Neccessarily apparently wants to go to Everton. I mean, he's still at AFCON at the minute, so that might be one that gets revisited close to the window. I think we'll be looking round, mate, and I actually think if we don't get anybody, that will sign that Taremi from Olympiacos on loan, because that's an easy deal to do, isn't it? Because Marinakis owns both clubs. I think we're looking round for probably a better option, and then he's kind of the last resort option, in my opinion. So it wouldn't surprise me if he ended up signing late on in the window, maybe even deadline day, because we can't use a striker anyway for the Europa League games. So it's only the Brentford game, and then it's the Palace game on the 1st, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I think may happen. But we'll see. They'll be looking at the market, and just I'll go back to my original point. I would have kept Callum Mwendo for this month.
Of course.
I've chatted with fans on Twitter saying, "Oh, well, that deal might not be there to do at the end of the month," but they've chased him for 2 years, according to reports. So I just think that would have helped us out a lot, especially with the Europa League games as well. But unfortunately, it's Dyche don't fancy him, and he probably wanted to move on, which you can't blame him.
Yeah, Lee, anything to add to that?
No, I was just going to say about I think the fact that we're throwing Ndoye on ahead of Awoniyi kind of suggests. Again, I just don't really.
Which we said as fans, to be fair, didn't we?
To let Callum Mwendo go, I just think it's a really curious decision. Okay, he might have pushed for it, but there was a job for him to do here for me.
And that's down to Dyche, to be fair.
I think it's. I think I kind of echo everything Reece has just said there in terms of. I think Taremi will be the one that we do if we can't do anything else. I think he will be the fallback option, but I do anticipate we'll bring someone in. But I've always said it's a difficult window to do business because you look at, for example, Strand Larsen's a brilliant point in case, because Wolves have picked up lately. Okay, are they going to stay up? Probably not. Do they want it? Is it a good look for Wolves as a football club to sell their top striker to a club that are still battling relegation with Wolves? And I know that people will look at that and say, well, Wolves are gone. Okay, the Wolves aren't going to see it like that, are they? They're not going to just throw in the towel. So, yeah, I think the Callum Mwendo one is a really curious. I don't know. I just think it's a bad slight on the club for me, because I think he still has a job to do here. And I think, okay, Frankfurt wanted him. He might have pushed for it. But like I say, I don't really understand the logic. If he's throwing Ndoye on for the last 20 minutes or whatever it was last night, why can't he be coming on and doing that? I just think it's a bit of a strange one. I think it's a strange situation, to be honest.
It's a really difficult position to fill, because you look around Europe and you're scouting to teams almost, and there's not like loads and loads of strikers that are jumping out on the page. And if they are, they're at the top clubs anyway, so they're not going to. We're not going to get them.
To be honest, mate, it's a bit of a dying art.
It absolutely is.
I mean, you look at some of the side, and they're not loads and loads have got a proper out and out number 9 anymore. They're just like Chelsea kind of played João Pedro up top, hadn't they, this season? Would you say he's an out and out number 9?
He's like a Firmino type player, isn't he?
Yeah, that type. And you get kind of, we've seen the league leaders buy a striker. Everyone's like, Arsenal need a striker. What's he scored? 4 or 5 goals this season? He was dire last night.
Yeah, he's awful, wasn't he?
Dire. Moreno's probably been a better up front for him, and he's centre mid, really.
I agree.
It's tough, mate. Like you said, the market's tough. That's probably why we're scrambling round. It's clear why Callum Mwendo would have pushed for the move, because he's not playing. But the frustration is that Dyche should have used him, in my opinion. But he hasn't, and that's why the club have seen it as a good deal, because he isn't getting used, and we can get his money back. It's just frustrating. It's left us with Jesus, who he's got 1 goal this season, and Taiwo. We all said it when Dyche was bringing him on and trying him. He's finished at the Premier League level.
Yeah. A question from our sponsor in James Rowan at Vesta Blinds. He asked if we'd rather get relegated and win the Europa League or stay up. And Lee, I'm going to put that to you first, because he's one of your pals. I mean, you can blame him for all this arguments we're going to have.
It's a good question. I don't know. I'm torn, because I always say football should be about winning trophies. I think in any sport, if you're playing, you want to win things. you don't take any satisfaction in coming second. If you finish in second, you may as well lose in the first round, I always say. That said, I like being in the Premier League. I don't know. This is going to sound really arrogant, but every Championship game I seem to watch on the telly, I just think I don't want to be back here. I don't. It's just and it's no detriment to the teams that are down there, but like, I don't know. I think the Premier League is where it's at.
We're so snobbish.
You just don't get that attention, do you, in the Champ? You just don't.
It's such a difficult question, because would I take great pleasure in seeing Morgan Gibbs-White running around with that Europa League trophy? You know, to add to the, again, not to be one of them fans that harps on about it, but to add to the 2 European Cups we've won, could we add the next trophy to it for the first time? I don't think I'd take it at the expense of if it meant going down. I really don't think I would. As much as it'd be great to win a trophy, like I've just said, football's about winning trophies, sport's about winning trophies. But I don't think I'd take it at the expense of our Premier League status. I really don't. I just think you've got to be in the Prem. And I do think that if we can get through this season, we can kick on again. I just don't... Yeah, I don't think I would take it at the expense of winning. I don't think I'd swap our Premier League status for it. I really don't.
Oh, Reese.
Yeah, there's some nice debate in there. It got not serious, but obviously there was reasons why we should do this and should do that. I think Rob Nettle was dead against it. Obviously James was for it. From a club perspective, you know, being in the Premier League, I think is the main priority, isn't it? Because, like I've just said, the attention you get from being in it. But we hear it, don't we, after an international break? League One, League Two, and non-leagues all still been playing, but you get football's back because it's the Premier League's back. It's like nothing else exists, and it does because we've been there. And you know, we go and watch non-league football, so there's a lot more than the Premier League. But in the media's eyes, it's the Premier League because you know the worldwide views of it is what's made the league. It's made the whole of Europe envious of it. Hence why they tried to make a Super League, because they just can't generate the money that the Premier League does. And, you know, these people like Marinakis come to English football to try and get the clubs in the Premier League like he has. And because of the money it generates and the attention it generates. So from a club's perspective there, I think the Premier League will always be the priority. From a fan's perspective, yeah, you know, I think most of us have probably never seen Forest win a major trophy. You know, I think 1919 to the League Cup. So, you know, there'd be some fans watching this pod, for example, who've seen that, but it's been a long, long time and a generation of fans have never seen it. So, you know, there'll probably be fans out there who say, yeah, I would do that because the memory of winning a trophy would trump anything else because it's just that would then be the Championship playing Champions League football, which would be insane in itself. But you'd like to think, as Rowan said, that if that did happen, the money you get from Champions League football and parachute payments, etc., you'd be able to bounce straight back anyway. So, yeah, it's a tough one, and I can't answer it. It's a real tough one because I just wouldn't want. I'm same as Lee. You know, when you're in the Championship, it's such a competitive league, and you kind of love it because anybody can beat anybody, and you get in like a bunch of sides, you're all bunched up. But when you watch it now, compared to the levels of quality and the speed of the Premier League, it's just miles away. It really is. So, yeah.
For me, I think staying up is trumps it because going into the Championship, even though if you got Champions League money and parachute payments, it's just so detrimental to the club. I just think you still lose. I still think you lose a lot of players. It's still going to be tough. And then, like, how many games are you going to have to catch up on? Because the Championship is obviously a 46-game season and play a lot of midweek. And then you got Champions League midweek. So when are you playing them extra games? You know what I mean? And you playing now, 8 league phase games in the Champions League as well.
Well, let's hope we stay up and we win the Europa League. That'd be
that would be the ideal scenario.
That would be the perfect season, wouldn't it? Let's be honest.
It would.
If that happened.
Yeah,
as much as it's been up and down as mood and frustrations have throughout this season, it's been a bit of a mess, or it has been a mess.
It would be typical Forest if we went.
It probably would. Yeah,
we've had the worst. We've had a crap season after a really good one, and like thought, oh yeah, we'll kick on and we'll have a great time in Europa League, and then we've had a bad season, win the Europa League. It would just be like, what's happened? Braga, obviously midweek. Reece, you're making the trip, as you have done with all the other European games. The last one of the league phase away it is before we play Ferencváros. Robbie Keane's Ferencváros, who are just about to lose one of their better players to Bournemouth, who's been labelled the next Soberslai Toff, his name is. You're going to be speaking to a Braga fan for the channel, obviously, as well. So, but are you looking forward to the trip, first of all? I know you're flying to Porto, I believe, before getting a bus over or whatever you're doing, train, whatever.
Stansted to Porto. This is a bit of an in and out one for me. Stansted to Porto on Wednesday evening, staying a night in Porto, probably stay half the day in Porto, because I think that's obviously more the major city than Braga, and then we're going to get, I think, either the train or an Uber up to Braga, because it's not too far. I think the Uber was reasonably priced, because I've had a look into it, and then staying the Thursday night in Braga and back on mid-morning on the Friday, flying back to Stansted. So a bit of an in and out one, but I'm looking forward to it.
Have you got your hiking sticks for them steps?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Shift some of the Christmas weight I've put back on, getting up them steps. Obviously, it's a very, very unique stadium because it's built into a quarry. Obviously, for those who remember from Euro 2004, the two stands and the cliff at one end. So that'll bring its own uniqueness. You've got to look forward to these trips. This is what we all dreamt of last season, and I know life in the Premier League this season's not been the best, but this is what it's all about. So I think we're pretty settled, I'd say, for a playoff place now. I don't think that's in much doubt. We've got that 4-point gap. But personally, I know some fans will say, well, we want another trip. I want to see us win these 2 games, because that will get us top 8 then. And that avoids 2 games in February. And the more rest we can get for the Premier League, the better, really. So, I want to see us go out there and win the game. It'll be a tough game because Braga are in the top 8 themselves, but you look at their results and where they kind of are in the Portuguese league, and they've just been knocked out of the Portuguese Cup by a 3rd division side I think it was the quarter-final stage. I'd expect Forest, with the squad we've got, to go out there and should be able to beat them, really.
Yeah, I assume Braga have got like a big net where the mountain is, but I'm wondering how many times have they lost a ball to the mountain? Is a question.
Just smack straight at the cliff and then back onto the pitch. That is probably a big net up and that. But the away end looks very, very high up. So it'll be binoculars time, I feel like St James's.
Be like watching Football Manager on the 2D version, the little darts running around.
Just the darts, yeah.
Lee, thoughts on the game against Braga? I mean, are you seeing it as a got to go out there and win, or at least not lose, I suppose?
Yeah, I mean, I'm firmly in Reese's camp of winning breeds confidence, and you want to go out and win every football match. I think there'll be some changes. Of course there will. We've got a tough game at Brentford on Sunday, so there will be some changes. But I think even with the changes, there's an opportunity there to win the match. I think if we win that one, then we probably are looking pretty good for a top 8 place. I do fancy us to beat Ferencváros. I know they've had a good season in the Europa League, but I do think a home game. I think if we're in the top 8 going into that game, the atmosphere is going to be electric. I think it will be a kind of what we're kind of all craving at the City Ground in the league games. To be honest, I think it will be a good atmosphere. It'll be a good environment. So I think it's a game that people look at it like, oh, it's Braga, they're doing quite well in the league, but the Portuguese league's not a patch on the Prem, is it? I mean, there's probably 3 or 4 teams in there that has got a chance of winning it. So I think it's a game we should look to attack and look to win. And I think you don't want to take your eye off the Prem, but like I say, winning breeds confidence, and hopefully we can go there and put on a bit of a show and get another 3 points.
They'll be the best fans as well, Ferencváros. They'll be, I think, the best of the 4 who's come. I think the police might have the hands full with them, but I think in terms of atmosphere, I think they'll bring the best. I mean, the Portuguese league is Benfica, Sporting, and Porto, isn't it? We beat Porto at home; they're better than Braga, so if can we go away to Braga and beat them out? Yeah, I think we can. Like Lee says, there'll be a few changes, but we've got quality on the bench. The likes of Douglas Luiz will probably come in. Yatesy will probably come in for a start. Just trying to think, maybe Savona might come and fill in one of the wing backs. But I hope we go pretty strong because, just get some results on the board as we've seen with Leeds. Look at their form. Even they went and won in the FA Cup because it just keeps that continuity going of, winning and getting results every week, and it's pulled them away. So, yeah, I want to see us go out there and play a strong side and win the game.
Absolutely. Reece, score prediction for Braga?
I'm going to go for the same as you, Trek, mate, and go for a 2-1 to Forest because I'm going to stay positive after yesterday.
Bro, Lee?
1-0, I think. 1-0 Forest.
Yeah, I'm going 1-0 as well. I think keep another clean sheet and that will start to really breathe. What I liked as well, just to finish off, is Dyche putting Martin Keown in his place yesterday after his absolute biased comments post-match of, I don't even know what he was talking about. And then
he's just so biased towards Arsenal.
I don't know if you
TalkSPORT.
I don't know if you guys have listened to Olaina's post-match with Colin Frey, and he's saying about like once we start, we're going to get going, we'll start smashing some teams. I quite enjoyed that comment, and I liked it because he clearly thinks that we're a better. He could tell in his how his demeanour was that he knows that we're a better side than we've been showing.
Yeah,
100%. and I think he's probably part of that senior kind of leadership team, because he's the leader of the Vibes cartel. He's automatically a part of it. Like, I just think someone like him who's been at Chelsea and that knows what it's all about, I guess, being at big clubs and playing in big games. I just think like him coming back is a bigger part than we all think, other than just being a good laugh around the dressing room, I think he's a serious footballer. So I'm hoping he's right and we start climbing up the table, because it's still very tight in there. It's still extremely tight. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the next few weeks. It's going to really show where we're going to kind of finish in this season with them next 4 games, and there'll be plenty of chat on this podcast. But until midweek, Reece, when you talk to the Braga fan, I think that's when next you'll hear from us.
Both of you are more than welcome to come on. He's based in the US, so I'm looking forward to speaking to him. Just get some more knowledge of Braga, the stadium, the city, and what we can kind of expect from them, really, what they kind of see us as. And yeah, I'm looking forward to chatting with him. Like I say, both welcome to come on, and yeah, we can have a good chat.
Lee, anything to finish off with?
I'd just like to shout out Jono at the Brown Cow, because yesterday he's discovered this week that I'm on a podcast, and yesterday he was going around the pub and all the Forest fans, he was kind of letting them know that we've got a podcast. So just feel like the need to give him the Brown Cow's a very nice pub in Mansfield. If anyone's fancying sort of real ales, craft beers, that sort of stuff, I'm working on getting him sponsoring the podcast. So watch this space.
But he was passing the pod, which is great to hear.
He was passing the pod. So thanks for that.
Thank you very much, Jono. Appreciate that. Thank you very much for everyone that's got involved. 196 people in here. If you can drop us a like and a subscribe, it's all free. Reece, you've not had to remind me this time to do this. I'm back on it now after last week's absolute catastrophe of hosting.
We're adjudicating your performance today, me and Lee. We'll send those reports off soon.
Thank you.
You're up to a 7 on the player ratings.
Oh, thank you. I'll take a 7. That's consistent, if anything. But no, thank you very much for
your performance.
Thank you very much for everyone getting involved, everyone in the comments, everyone in Slept On It thoughts. Thank you very much. Until midweek with when Reece brings you the Braga supporter. Come on, you Reds.